Hi everyone, this is Nico Vrez from The Authentic Desire, and this is the first series video of a video series called The Sexually Empowered Entrepreneur. And in it I will give you around 15 videos for the next 3 weeks in which I will help you how to have sensational sex, build a monumental love that supports you, and make more money. So in this first video, I will explain why it's so difficult for many high-profile entrepreneurs and executives to have that sexually satisfying sex life and to achieve amazing orgasm. Why is this so? Well, we have to look into how they live. Many high-level entrepreneurs, they are stuck in go mode. I'm gonna tell a little story about two of my clients. Let's call them Bill and Jacqueline. And Bill and Jacqueline, they are amazing people. They seem to have it all. They have a great mansion, success. They have in business. They achieve goal after goal after goal after goal. They look good. They have a lot of friends. They have two beautiful children. They have it all. But they have one problem. Sexually, it all crashes. What happens is that very often Bill has problems having erections. And because he does not want to take pills, because he thinks he's too healthy, doesn't want to take pharmaceuticals, he has a lot of problems with that. And when he doesn't achieve an erection, there's no sensual interplay, which is of course not too conducive. And at the other side, you have Jacqueline, and Jacqueline is a wonderful woman, and she loves her body. She takes care of it. She was a professional tennis player, and for that she had to do workout. She had to be in touch with her body. But because she has a tendency to go all the time, she learned to dissociate a bit from the feelings in her body. And so she developed anorgasmia. In other words, she has a very, very hard time to achieve orgasms. Now, they are not alone. A lot of my clients struggle with the same problem, with erection problems, with the inability to orgasm as man and as woman, and also with once if they get hard or could get lubricated and could achieve orgasm, very often it's very superficial. They do not fully enjoy. And why it is, well, I'll explain in this video. So what the problem is that a lot of high-level entrepreneurs are stuck in go mode. So what happens is they have a bunch of goals, and they have goals that are much higher than the general population. That's why they are so successful, and that's why they're such amazing people. But the problem is not that they can enter go mode and achieve those goals. The problem is that they have a hard time to get out of go mode, push mode. So what happens? Why? Because they have the tendency to push their bodies with high intense deadlines, with high risks, into fight or flight. What happens? If you go into fight or flight response, if you push your body into survival mode, you activate your sympathetic nervous system, and that's what people call stress. Now, stress as itself is not bad in itself at all, because stress is what is needed to be excited, to get energized, to get focused. However, when you get stuck in it, you get stuck in a norepinephrine. It stimulates you, and then finally, when you push enough and you achieve your goal, you get a dopamine rush. And let's be honest, a dopamine is absolutely amazing. That is why drugs are so addictive. That is why pushing your body deep in sports is so satisfying. And that is also why high-level entrepreneurs very often push. And from the moment they achieved one goal, very soon the next goal is already set, because they're hunting for more and more dopamine. Just like a drug addict keeps going for more and more and more. Now, but a lot of people say you have to get rid of your dopamine addiction. Well, there's some truth to it, But at the same time, if you don't have dopamine, there is no motivation whatsoever. So what we need to do is something else. What we need to do is we need to be able to learn how to switch between go mode and let go mode, and ideally together. Uh, and one of the best ways to do this, to learn how to let go, is in the sexual sphere. So one of the reasons that a lot of high-level entrepreneurs have bad sex or unsatisfying sex is because of this reason. Because they're stuck in sympathetic nervous system. Now, to achieve orgasms and sexual pleasure, you need activations of both systems of the autonomous nervous system. So the autonomous nervous system is something that, well, it regulates your arousal levels. Now you have the sympathetic nervous system, the so-called fight, flight or freeze response, where you get stressed, and it gets activated in multiple ways. When you have fights, when you have a goal and a deadline that you have to get, when there's a tiger that tries to eat you. Well, that's where it starts to evolve from. But way back in primal times, we were not always surrounded by tigers that want to eat us, or by neighboring tribes that want to abduct our children. No. What happened was that we had also the parasympathetic nervous system. In other words, the let go mode, the mode where you relax. Now, it's something tricky, because traditional sex therapy said, well, yeah, the problem that a lot of people that push so hard can't achieve sexual satisfying sex is because, well, their sympathetic nervous system is too activated, and their parasympathetic nervous system is not activated. So what did they do? Well, they went like here. They stimulated the parasympathetic, the let go mode, and they pushed down the sympathetic activation. Now the problem is, to have a satisfying sex life, you need a dual activation. If you don't have a dual activation, you get bored. So if you don't have enough sympathetic nervous system, you're not going to be as excited. You're not going to feel desire. And what is more, norepinephrine, which is the part, and adrenaline, they stimulate testosterone, which is a hormone that in both men and women stimulate sexual desire. So what we need to do is to learn how to activate both at the same times. In other words, how to stay present and calm in intensity. You need to learn how to feel excited and relax into that excitement. That's of course not so easy. And the traditional therapies, they use a lot of meditation and techniques to make people get less anxious. The problem is with these approaches is that anxiousness very often, and a bit of insecurity, is just what brings a bit of spice to the sex lives. So I want you to think for a moment. Think back to the best sex you ever had. For very few people, this is when you are together with your partner and you've known each other for years and you've been doing the same sex and you know what's going to happen. No, it was often when something new entered the relationship. It could be something simple as a new technique or a new place, or it could be in the beginning when you both were still a bit wild, when you were both playing. Now in later videos I'll dive much deeper into this and how you can do this, how you can create a simultaneous activation so you can get to orgasm. But one of the most important things is not only about orgasm. So one of the problems that those high profile entrepreneurs have is that they hunt after orgasm. And why do they hunt after orgasm? Well, they're hunters. They get a goal, they see that goal, and they want to get it as fast as possible and as hard as possible. The problem is that when you have this approach in sexuality, when you really push towards the goal, well, we all know how that happens. When we do that, very often it is from the go mode. So we activate artificially our fight or flight response by our brains. So to do that, to get shit done in the world, we often tense our bodies and get all the energy up in here. And see, we get dissociate from our bodies, and we get taught from a very young age to do that. We are in school, we have to sit on our butts the entire day, watch at the whiteboard to somebody that says things that mostly we are not very interested in. So we have to suppress our natural urge to move, our natural urge to connect with other people. And so we have like, and then people who are high achievers, well, they get this even more because they push, 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 push instead of let go. So what we need to find is a way to integrate those two, where you have that sweet spot of activation, where you feel excited, full desire, when you can't wait to, well, do this with some clothes, but where you still feel calm into intensity, when you're not too stressed. You have to be able to enter that flow state. And in later videos of this series I will tell you more about how to do that, but that is for later. And I want you to stay tuned, because tomorrow, for sure, you power ladies, I will explain why it's so difficult for a strong, independent woman to have a satisfying relationship with, well, a high quality man. Why men find it hard to be together with you, strong, independent woman. Oops.